What is up, YouTube? How are you today? Hope your training is going well. I'm David. I wanted to give you a recap of the 2023 Chattanooga Ironman. And this is actually the full Ironman, not the half that's in the spring. However, I believe the course is the same, pretty much, just doubled for the full. Just to start off with the logistics of the morning. The bus that takes you to swim start from your transition went really well. They had a ton of buses. I didn't even wait in line. I wasn't super early. I wasn't late. I think I got into transition at 5 o'clock in the morning. Got set up. Had a Sherpa. I had a bike pump. Got my tires pumped. Got my nutrition. Got my hydration set up on the bike. I actually screwed up putting my nutrition that was supposed to be in my bike gear bag was actually in my run gear bag, so I missed out on that. You're gonna make mistakes. Stuff's gonna happen. So just kind of rolled with that. Didn't realize it until I got to Chickamauga at the special needs on the bike, and my nutrition wasn't there. So just improvised, used what was on the course. The fig bars on the course were great, but again, got my stuff set up in transition that morning. That went well. Went to get in line for the bus. There was no line. Got on the bus. Got out to swim start early. It was wetsuit legal, so I had my wetsuit. Had all my gear. Earplugs, goggles, anti-fog, cloth. Had a little bit of nutrition, had a protein bar, had an electrolyte drink. Was able to just lay around, take it easy at swim start. They had plenty of restrooms. It was a good place to just kind of chill out and relax. The space was good. Did some stretching, did some resting, closed my eyes a little bit. When it came time to go ahead and put my wetsuit on, got it on, started getting in line a little bit before the majority of the people got in line. I went ahead and just walked up to the place where I felt like I was self-seating properly. I didn't want to go too fast, didn't want to go too slow, so I got in a space that was good for me. The start was pretty quick. I was I don't know, maybe middle of the pack in the line for the swim start. Went pretty quick. Got in the water. It was wetsuit legal. However, when I jumped in, I felt okay. They probably could have made it not wetsuit legal. The water was not that cold. But it felt good. It was very comfortable. There was a good current. And the swimmers were spread out. You didn't feel pinched. I almost felt like I had the river to myself. And I seated myself up maybe a little bit slow, but that was okay. It felt good because I could sight. I could look ahead and see. Okay, I wanted to be away from people during the swim, so it was easy to sight and see who's in front of me. Okay, I'm going to move a little to the left to pass this guy. I'm going to move a little to the right to pass this guy, and felt good about the swim. I had a fast swim for me. I'm by no means am I a pro. By no means am I trying to qualify for Kona. But I am competitive, and I wanted to lay down a good time for me, which I was actually shooting for 12, somewhere between 12, 13 hours. 14 hours might have been a little disappointing, but that's what I trained for. I wanted to finish line. That's the ultimate goal, and was just looking to race my race for me and have a good time with it. So the swim was fantastic. Had a good time. Getting out of the water, there were 3 slots to choose from. I got to the first one just because as you're approaching it, you can see people getting out and you can see the volunteers there waiting on you. So there was actually somebody waiting on me at the first slot. Got to the first slot. The guy beside me looked like he was having a little bit of trouble getting out of the water. So the volunteer actually grabbed my arm and helped me out pretty quickly. That was no problem. There was another volunteer actually helped me unzip the wetsuit as I was, actually walking fast, jogging toward the strippers. Got to a stripper, pointed to a person. They're stripping. They told you, get down on your back. My wetsuit. 2 guys actually took the wetsuit off, got it off of me. Really quick, really efficient there. Got the transition, picked my bag up, got to my bike, got to the changing tent, changed, got to my bike, and you're off on the bike course. The changing tent was a little crowded. I didn't find a seat. I could have found a seat. I mean, there were not that many seats available, so I just opted to stand in front of the seats and do what I need to do. It wasn't a big deal. I was actually in a hurry. I wanted to get out of there. Wanted to get on the bike. Got on the bike, getting out of Chattanooga. So you're heading south to get out of town. First couple sets of railroad tracks. Those 2 you really need to slow down. You really need to slow way down. Those tracks were rough. They had them covered. They were still rough. There were some bottles in the road. Be aware that might be a bottle rolling around, that could cause you to crash. So slow way down on the railroad tracks getting out of town. Other than that, the road was in good shape. A couple spots maybe where you were crossing a bridge. They were painted, they were marked. For the entire course, Ironman did a really good job letting you know where to slow down, when something technical was coming up. So just pay attention to the signs. They did a good job on that. Once you get out of town, man, it was a beautiful day. Lookout Mountain was absolutely beautiful. It was a beautiful bike course. The rollers, they were just rollers. There was I think it was maybe around mile 31 before you made the U-turn. That was that was a decent climb, I thought. Not huge, but it was a little more than the rollers that you experienced up to that point. Once you made that turnaround there at mile 32, that was another spot. There's signage there. Slow down, and you got to slow down. It was almost a U-turn. And then the course got a little more technical. The rollers with curves versus just rollers. The first 30 miles. So again, Ironman did a good job letting you know when to slow down. Something came up. A lot of aid stations. The aid stations were well placed, I thought. A lot of good support there. But the bike course was, again, it's not easy. It's 144 miles. Again, the first 30, you got some rollers there. You make the U-turn. Then your rollers seemed to me to include some turns with it that were a little more technical, and you had to be a little bit careful. But I went out on the bike a little bit too hard. Adrenaline, whatever. Just beautiful day though, beautiful course. Good bike course. Really, I enjoyed it. It was absolutely beautiful. Loved the landscape, everything, the farmlands. It was beautiful. Beautiful day. Chickamauga. Got to Chickamauga. Chickamauga was so cool. They had barriers up, as if you were in a parade. A lot of people, great support. Your special needs was there in Chickamauga, and fantastic volunteers. The volunteers were fantastic for this race. But yeah, Chickamauga was really cool. Once you got out of Chickamauga and you were actually headed toward the turnaround to do your second loop, that road was, you had to be careful on it. There were a couple of dips in the road, especially there was like another small climb, but a big downhill through there, and you could really get some speed going. But there were some turns, there were some places in the road you had to be careful. Again, a couple bottles in the road, so be careful on that stretch. But really it was, then once you get to there, and then the signage is there, and you get back on the course for your second loop, and do it all over again. But again, that second loop, everything is exaggerated from the first loop. The hills are tougher, the curves are tougher, and you almost, for me, I took off a little bit too hard, and I recognize that, and I tried to back off of it. So the course is the course. The hills were, again, rollers, couple of climbs, not that big a deal. So just pay attention to if you got a power meter. I did not, but yeah, just pay attention to your body, and I did. I took off a little bit too hard on that, but still, course was great. The day was beautiful landscape. Volunteers were great. Good bike course, and props to Chickamauga, man. They made you feel like a rock star driving through there. So headed back into town, and there is one road, and there's actually, again, Ironman put a sign out, rough road, and but it was only like a few hundred yards long. Not even a half mile. But it was rough, so you had to kind of be careful on that. I actually, stood up on my bike and took that little stretch. Took some time to actually stretch my legs on the way in, and it wasn't bad. Excuse me. So came into transition back into town, had to go over those same railroad tracks again. Those railroad tracks were rough, so just slow down, look out for bottles, and get through it. Got to transition. My time-wise, I was a little slow for my bike, but it's because of the extra 4 miles. You're gonna add 20-25 minutes, because I was trying to take it easy those last few miles to get ready for the marathon coming up, and so those last 4 miles were tough. Transition, again, changing tent. There was plenty of space in the changing tent to sit down. I actually put some BioFreeze on my legs, got a little something to drink, took my time, took it easy, and got off. The bike handlers were great, the volunteers were great, got my bag, no problem, got in and out of transition without any issues. Get out of transition and you start that run, you go down along the river, and then you head out to that, it's Riverfront Parkway. And so there's a ramp to get to the Riverfront Parkway. And, I felt like, okay, I'm not walking this run course. I'm going to run the whole thing. If I come to a hill, and I need to back off, I'll back off. So, I passed a few guys that were actually just walking the ramp to get to the Riverfront Parkway. That was a mistake. Yeah, that was a mistake. I should have just walked it and took it easy and got my legs under me. It was, right out of the gate. So I got to like a mile and a half, and once I got on the Riverfront Parkway, kind of started, feeling some cramps, and again I rode hard on the bike, took off on the run a little bit too ambitious, so should have took it easy there, but just every aid station I came to, took something in, took some Gatorade Endurance, took some of the water, got a cup of ice. They had plenty of ice. They had great volunteers, and would actually just hold on to it, and I would chew on ice in between the aid stations and take in some Gatorade and take in some water. My splits were really slow. I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, hey man, I have trained way too hard to be this slow, for this run, but I was surviving it, I just kept taking the salt. I actually had a little shot of pickle juice and a mustard packet with me, so I went ahead and hit that earlier than I had anticipated, and got going. Found a rhythm. It was a slow rhythm, but I found a rhythm. Got going. Every time I came to a hill, though, I knew, okay, I've got to walk this hill. And it was actually disappointing because I had trained hills. I was looking forward to being able to attack the run course and run the hills when I knew most people would be walking them. Well, I was walking them with it. But that was okay. I was looking for a finish line, and I still was, putting down a good time for me. Felt good about what I was doing. But yeah, so the Riverwalk was the Riverwalk, or I think they call it the Riverwalk. The Riverwalk was nice. It was shaded, where Riverfront Highway was hot. So it was nice. Again, they had some aid stations set up. They had there was like an apartment complex and a restaurant. Had some people out there cheering for you, that sort of thing, and got through that section of the run course. And that's really the majority of the run course is Riverfront Parkway, and then that Tennessee Riverwalk. And again, the highway was hot, a little bit lonely, but the Riverwalk was kind of cool. You got some good vistas of the river and where you were first thing that morning. And then you come to the bridge there. Veterans Bridge was the name of it, and so you had to cross that bridge, and there was a little hill before you got to it, and that was another. It was kind of short, a little bit steep. Walked it. Most people were, and got through that. Once you got on that bridge, man, it was hot. That bridge was hot. So and just be aware, it's going to be hot probably going across that bridge. And once you get across the bridge, then you're coming to Barton. And so Barton was tough. It was long. It was steep. Got not even a quarter of the way up it before, okay, it's time to walk. But there was an aid station there. There was a good aid station there. You get past the aid station, there was a lot of crowd support, a lot of cheering. So it was neat. I enjoyed Barton. Barton wasn't, it was a hill. Yes, a hill. But not, the people in Chattanooga, made it cool. So it was neat. You get over to the top, now you got a downhill. So now you can pick it up and make up some of that time from your walk up it, going down it. Then you make a turn. You're going to make a turn, and again, you're fixing to find another hill as you get to the backside of that loop there, where you go into the country club area. Another aid station was there. You had some people, sitting out in the yards cheering for you. It was really cool. But yeah, it was neat. And then you're looping back to Barton again, and so you're on Barton. You're gonna whether you're walking, running it, take it easy. It's steep, it's a little bit long. Get to the top of it though, you got a reward going downhill. And then you go take that exit ramp at the bottom of the hill. You take that exit, and then you get to the footbridge. Another little section before you get to the footbridge there was really cool. A couple restaurants, people hanging out, cheering. Neat place. The footbridge was really neat. I thought it was good. Kind of watch your step. There's a couple places where there's some wood missing, and you could turn an ankle or something. So just be aware, be careful. On the other side of that bridge, man, there were just a lot of people fired up, cheering racers on. It was so cool. Really enjoyed that little section. And then you're back to Riverfront Parkway. So again, that's where you're digging deep. You're hanging in there, but man, you got less than one more of these loops, and you're gonna find a finish line. And so it was getting late. So my second loop was the sun was starting to go down. I was really hoping to finish before sundown, but I did not. But it was not so hot the second time around. So again, Veterans Bridge wasn't that bad second time around because the sun was going down. By the time I got to Barton, the sun was down. And then the country club portion, special needs was just after the footbridge too. So I actually packed a very small flashlight, just a little bitty LED flashlight. And I'm glad I did, because once I got to the country club area again on the loop after Barton, it was dark. It was really dark. Street lights were no help. They did have a couple of portable generator light plants set up that were helpful, but they'd only last 50 yards. And so you had a couple of miles there. So the flashlight helped. I didn't wear a headlamp. I just took the little flashlight just to make sure, by then my legs were screaming. And I was really having to push through. So, you trip over something small, you're liable not to get back up. Yeah, the flashlight helped. Glad I took it. Yeah, it was good. It was a good run course. I enjoyed it. The hills, I was training for the hills, but at that point in the race, I was in no shape to run a hill, especially as steep as Barton. But the downhills were certainly rewarding. Got to the footbridge second time around, got to that little area before the footbridge second time around, man, I knew it was, I'm going to make it to the finish line. I'm actually, picking up my pace a little bit because I've got, a 13 hour, I could actually get below 13 hours here. But, got a surprise on the footbridge from a brother-in-law that showed up. Him and his girlfriend actually did part of a relay in Augusta that morning, and after they got through, he drove up and wanted to see me finish in Chattanooga. So that was kind of special. And I had my family there, my daughter, my daughter-in-law, and my son, and of course my wife. My wife was there the whole way through, and just really, it's always such a boost of energy when you see those guys on the course. And so it was great having them there, and just a really big surprise seeing my brother-in-law and his girlfriend show up on that footbridge. And then they actually talked to me for a minute as I ran along with me and said, okay, we'll see you in just a couple minutes at the finish line. So went through that one little turn and that one little cool spot there at the other end of the footbridge, and I knew by then you can hear the music, and you can hear the bass beating on the loudspeakers, and By then the pain gets numb and you're ready to finish. So the chute was cool. I actually looked around. I had the chute to myself, so I hammed it up a little bit, high five some people, thumbs up, tried to put a smile on my face and, thank people for being out there. Crossed the finish line. Great feeling. Loved it. Chattanooga, the city was really clean. The people were inviting. Loved it. Glad I did the race. Wouldn't mind doing it again. Yeah, great experience. If you have any questions, shoot me a question on the site here. If you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and have a great day. Thanks. See you.